However, scientists have already put forward the idea of a quantum battery with an almost infinite life.
Folks who get in on this breakthrough now, before it's rolled out on a mass scale, will have the chance to be a part of the single largest legal creation of wealth of the last 25 years.
So the workings of this nano device are based on completely different principles than usual.
It's easy to see why Wall Street is desperately waiting in the wings to load up on shares.
Aerotime International. It is a cutting-edge, high-tech firm out of the Midwest awaiting imminent patent.
Let's say this company's battery captures just 0.5% of the global electric car market in the coming years.
Imminent patent approval on a next generation of radar detectors that have both huge military and civilian applications. Now,
that will be enough to boost its revenue to more than $2 billion when production and sales are in full swing. That's an incredible 27,746% increase from where it stands today.
the stock trades over the counter at 10 cents a share. And by the way, John, our analysts indicate it could go a heck of a lot higher than that.
A revenue surge that big could rocket shares into the stratosphere.
Your profit on a mere $6,000 investment would be upwards of $60,000.
Jesus, that's my mortgage, man.
Exactly, you could pay off your mortgage.
We could easily see a price share surge of 12,000% or more. Keep in mind, that's just my extremely conservative estimate.
And in the case of Aerotime, based on every technical factor out there, John, we are looking at a grand slam home run.
As I believe their market share could end up being much, much bigger. But still, let's say this company's battery captures a still very conservative 3% of the overall electric car market.
I'll do $4,000.
4,000, that'd be 40,000 shares, John. Let me lock in that trade right now and get back to you with my secretary with an exact confirmation. Sound good, John?
That would be enough to boost its revenue by an earth-shattering 81,000%. At that rate, we could see a share price gain of 36,000% as the quantum glass battery achieves mass market adoption.
Quick, take my money. I mean, that's like claiming that just owning a car doesn't cost you money, it earns you money.
If you say, what would be the probable gross profit from a single robotaxi? We think probably something on the order of $30,000 per year. The fundamental message that consumers should be taking today is that it's financially insane to buy anything other than a Tesla.
Just like that, I made $2,000. The other guys looked at me like I just discovered fire.
And you'll be shocked to find out that the quantum glass battery is bullshit. But before we get into that, all claims of making revolutionary new batteries are bullshit. Now you might think there's no way I can make such a sweeping statement. Well, a little history. It's now 4 years since John Goodenough, the guy who got the Nobel Prize for the lithium-ion battery, claimed to have invented a new battery that was going to blow everything else away.
It was in the late 1970s when John Goodenough developed the first lithium-ion batteries right here at the University of Oxford.
Have announced they've invented a new battery that sounds too good to be true. And the new battery they've come up with is unlike anything anyone's ever seen before. Compared to current batteries, it can hold 3 to 10 times the charge, can be recharged in minutes instead of hours, and has a lifespan of over 1,000 cycles, and doesn't go boom in your back pocket.
And everyone marveled at this new technology, this new perfect battery that was going to change everything. Well, almost everyone. Someone made a busting video on it. And sure, you got all the usual criticisms he does when he busts some big shot that, you're just jealous of how much this inventor has achieved or how rich this guy is. Or you must just clearly be some weird, insecure incel loser. Maybe you should just read the white paper some more. All arguments curiously directed at his character rather than the content of his videos. It was almost like they didn't have a point to make, so rather than address the message, they decided to attack the messenger. And it may surprise no one that the idea basically died after these big claims. With the wiki now reading, Goodenough's high reputation was enough to deter the strongest criticism. However, Daniel Steingart of Princeton commented, if anyone but Goodenough published this, I would be, well, it's hard to find a polite word. But how could I call it out like that? Well, it turns out for exactly the same reason as other revolutionary new batteries. So, grab your popcorn, and let's get back to the quantum glass battery.
Quantum energy sources can also be used in electric vehicles, electric scooters, laptops, and many other devices that use batteries.
Dear viewer, this is a .22 caliber Remington bullet flying through the air at 1,800 feet per second.
And this is a starship going above the speed of light. And this is nanotech. Oh, sorry, none of those things exist. That's why I'm showing you a computer animation of those things. But the great thing about fantasy, of course, is you can make up any rules for it that you want.
And this is a prototype of a mind-blowing new type of battery.
Camelot. 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 It's only a model. Shh.
Insiders are calling a paradigm shift in energy technology. A forever battery that will usher in the next great energy revolution.
The idea of creating a nanometer-sized quantum battery
It's nanotech. You like it?
belongs to scientists at both the University of Alberta and the University of Toronto.
Even going so far as to call it the Jesus battery, because the properties it exhibits are so miraculous. Forbes calls it simply the battery that could change the world.
According to researchers, this little thing is able to hold a smartphone's charge almost forever. Once you charge a quantum battery, you'll never need to connect it to a power network again.
Not only does this battery take all 3 bullets to the gut like a champ, it continues to generate power flawlessly without skipping a beat. 0 fires, 0 explosions, 0 danger. It gets better. Here's the same bullet-ridden battery 24 hours later, on the same charge.
No, seriously, are you not convinced by this? Look, there is a dial saying it's still on the same charge 24 hours later. Who is not convinced by this? Well, for those of you who are, I've got good news. I've just invented this amazing new machine that makes your bank account numbers go up, with our top analysts forecasting it could generate as much as $1 million per second. I know it's hard to believe, but let me show you this machine actually working. Look, I start the machine and the bank account numbers go up.
A revenue surge that big could rocket shares into the stratosphere. We could easily see a price share surge of 12,000% or more. Keep in mind, that's just my extremely conservative estimate, as I believe the market share could end up being much, much bigger. That would be enough to boost its revenue by an earth-shattering 81,000%. At that rate, we could see a share price gain of 36,000% as the quantum glass battery achieves mass market adoption.
That's where the rank amateurs invest their money. If you'd invested your money in my bank account numbers go up machine, you would have made $45 million already.
My point is, right now this company is still small and unknown, giving you the rare chance to be among the first to get in front of this massive revolution. Opportunities like this simply don't land in your lap every day. It may be decades before we get another chance like this to get in at the very front of a major multi-trillion-dollar transformative shift.
Oh, he's right. If merely my subscribers had bought into this machine, it would have already generated $75 million for each of them. That's an amazing $75 trillion of wealth generation.
This could be the moment you remember for the rest of your life, the moment that changed everything. Years from now, you'll be able to look back and tell friends and family you saw this trend coming. Understand the impact it would have and how you were able to make a fortune off it.
Oh yeah, you could have made $100 million in 100 seconds. I mean, what if there's only a 1% chance that it's true and you missed out on it?
One thing I can promise you, even in this market, is that I never ask my clients to judge me on my winners. I ask them to judge me on my losers because I have so few.
Even if you invest a few bucks or just want to learn about what's going on, it's worth it. I believe it's only a matter of time before the tiny company at the epicenter of the quantum glass battery technology revolution becomes the next household name.
Oh, it's an amazing idea. If only I had the security of some sort of guarantee that this is good financial advice.
In fact, I'm so confident in the quality of my research that I'm willing to give you the strongest guarantee I could think of. If I don't give you the opportunity to see 1,000% gains as the quantum glass battery explodes into the mainstream over the next year in our model portfolio, I don't want you to have to pay for my work at all.
Aha. Your work constituting a video on YouTube that you can watch for free. That's the refund you're offering as a guarantee?
That's right. Have a look at everything mentioned here, 100% risk-free for the next 365 days. If you don't see 1,000% gains in my model portfolio, if you don't think it's the single most valuable financial resource you've ever had access to, I'll refund every penny of your membership.
Wow. Refund the membership that I needed to watch a video on YouTube for free. And that was the strongest guarantee you could think of.
That's how confident I am in my work and in the quantum glass battery revolution set to be unleashed across the world on a mass scale. This tiny company is off the radar of just about everyone, including the big boys on Wall Street. Just check out how many Wall Street firms own this stock. 0. Because Wall Street doesn't follow this tiny company yet. The mainstream media typically doesn't either.
What, really? The mainstream media don't follow it either? Why, that's peculiar. Don't I remember earlier you trying to leech credibility by saying it was covered by every mainstream media outlet on the planet?
Insiders are calling a paradigm shift in energy technology, a forever battery that will usher in the next great energy revolution.
Pretty much last forever article. Independent. 2015.
Even going so far as to call it the Jesus battery.
The Jesus battery. Wired. 2017. About 5 years ago.
Because the properties it exhibits are so miraculous. Forbes calls it simply the battery that could change the world.
Yes, they did that in 2018. And it's really not been seen again since. Look, problem number 1 is if you want to put twice as much energy into a battery, then in the event of a failure of a freshly charged cell, you're going to release twice as much energy. You short circuit a battery, all of the energy from the battery is dumped into the battery. It makes no difference at all if it's a solid state battery or not. You connect those two plates together, you're going to have a bad time. And we can do an incredibly simple calculation to get a pretty good estimate of what that final temperature will be. The energy density of a lithium-ion battery is about 250 watt-hours per kilo, which is about 900 kilojoules. For a kilo of lithium-ion battery, it takes about 1.5 kilojoules to raise the temperature of that battery by 1 degree Celsius. So if you discharge this battery into itself, you short circuit it, you raise its temperature by about 600 degrees Celsius, that sort of thing. Which is just short of red heat, which is why these things tend to boil the solvents and then they start to burn, releasing even more energy. Well, some people have pimped putting organic polymers there instead of solvents, which really won't make any difference at all, because at these sorts of temperatures, almost all organic polymers break down and burn just like solvents. Well, what about using a ceramic of some sort? Well, ceramics are not exactly known for their flexible nature, and on top of that, they tend to be very dense. But fine, let's just say you can get that to work, and you manage to cram twice as much energy into the battery. Now, when you get a short circuit, a freshly charged cell's temperature will spike up to about 1,000 degrees Celsius, at which point your failing battery will melt any glass electrodes, any lithium, and most likely through the casing and the car, or your phone, or whatever else you happen to be holding at the time. It's a miracle that battery energy density is as high and as safe as it currently is. And yeah, of course, it does go without saying that Elon Musk was promising a 400 kilowatt hour per kilo battery with a high cycle life produced in volume probably in 3 to 4 years. And yeah, that was in 2020. And I'll bet dollars to donuts that never happens. With his fan club speculating that this will mean that he's about to make the supersonic vertical takeoff and landing electric jet that he was saying was the perfect form of transport. But he's not the only one. There is an endless list of people claiming that they're going to have amazing new batteries on the market in a few years.
So Dyson will be able to help SAC-T3 with bringing the technology from lab to market. Dyson aims to complete the development of their first electric vehicle and bring it to market equipped with solid-state battery tech by 2020, but it won't likely happen until 2023.
So scrolling through my comments from 4 years ago, I found this. But Toyota is currently making solid-state batteries, and this aged poorly. Well, no, not really. Toyota was saying that their new solid-state battery could make it into cars by 2020. And they released a video on the 7th of September 2021 claiming that they had their first all-solid-state battery electric car. All 11 seconds of it. And if you come to Toyota's webpage on batteries, they tell you how many patents they have on this. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be possible. They've just got lots of patents on it. And if you come down, they say how many people they've got working on it, which is all true, of course. They've had hundreds of people working on it for about a decade now, which just sort of speaks to the technical challenges of the problem. That's the sort of material investment you're looking at in trying to solve a problem like that. And even at that, we're on track for limited production by 2025. That's limited production doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be safe as a product or that it'll be cost effective as a product. Those are still bridges you've got to cross. And for those who are really convinced by this 10-second clip of a seemingly solid-state electric car means that it's now safe and cost-effective, well, here's about a 10-second. Put simply, batteries at the moment are basically bombs. Doubling the energy density is no trivial task. When you get a thermal runaway on something and the temperature is high enough to melt steel beams, it's a much more intrinsically difficult problem. 10 times that energy density and you're in Joker territory.
Compared to current batteries, it can hold 3 to 10 times the charge, can be recharged in minutes instead of hours, and has a lifespan of over 1,000 cycles, and doesn't go boom in your back pocket.
Now, you might say I'm being too harsh on batteries here, in that don't cars have just as much energy in their gas tank? Well, yes. Yes, they do. But the thing about the gas is it needs to be mixed with air to burn, which is its kind of built-in safety feature. Also means you don't have to carry the air around with you all the time. You cannot get a thermal runaway on a gas tank. Rupture the gas tank and mix it with the air, and sure, you've got a problem. But on its own, gas in a tank is actually pretty safe. The simple reality is you consider merely the bulk of the charged and discharged states of a battery, and we're pretty close to maximum energy density now. And another simple reality is energy density is not like Moore's law. There is a peak to energy density, which is why we use pretty much exactly the same gas to power our cars now as we did 100 years ago. And all the quantum nano gas in the world won't change the simple thermodynamics. So it's merely doubling the energy density of batteries possible. Well, it's clearly not easy because already billions of dollars have been thrown at this with no real solution. And even if you can do that, that's merely scratching the surface in terms of what you actually need. It needs to be safe, not just in the lab, but in real world conditions. Heat cycling, cold, moisture, and so forth. It needs to be low density, light and small for its power. And, of course, it needs to be cost effective. Basically means, I can't make it from exotic materials like gold or silver.
Li Tai has developed a technology that could potentially help a battery hold unlimited charges. While experimenting in the lab, she made a remarkable discovery that will have a huge impact on future energy consumption. By coating the gold nanowires in a thin gel.
Yes, that was UC Irvine suggesting that gold, one of the densest, therefore most unsuitable for batteries, and expensive things that you could possibly make a battery out of. Or we have videos like this from Subject to Zero Science with breakthrough solid-state battery, 900 watt-hours per litre, Samsung 2020. And if you're wondering why you've not actually seen that battery yet, well, your first clue should be when they're talking about watt-hours per litre. That's the sort of thing that you would talk about if you were making your batteries out of something really dense, like, say, for instance, silver, or something really expensive, like, say, for instance, silver.
By removing this layer and having only silver atoms playing the part of the matrix.
Ah, yes, of course. Replacing the matrix with silver. Why didn't someone think that sooner?
You can effectively introduce more cathode into the mix, increasing the overall energy density of the battery, or 900 plus watt-hours per liter.
So is it impossible to merely double the energy density of batteries in a cost-effective way, in a way that would be market viable? I mean, you take a look at the number of criteria that this thing has to hit, and it's pretty insane. My guess would be this ain't gonna happen, for the simple reason that the more energy that you pack into the actual structure of the material, the more likely it becomes that merely looking at this thing sideways will cause a thermal runaway. But what's that? This video aged poorly within 1 day because a Michigan startup with its Gemini battery power pack powers a Tesla for almost 800 miles. That's almost twice the range of an extended range Tesla. Wait, they didn't just put 2 regular batteries in a Tesla, did they? Well, their website's kind of so vague, it's really difficult to tell what the hell they did. But if you take a look at some of the news articles linked on their website, like this one from Reuters, the second of these battery technologies, called Gemini, yeah, sounds like they're just putting 2 or something in there, uses one's proprietary energy management system and chemistry, in a dual battery range extender architecture. Sounds like they're just putting 2 batteries in there. This approach yields 450 watt-hours per litre at a system level. Not entirely sure what a system level means here. And like I was saying, watt-hour per litre is the usual metric that you go for if you're using something that's very dense in your batteries. Anyway, the bottom line is it doesn't greatly matter. There is a chasm between actually having some vehicle that can do something in a one-off. And also, let me say that their video that is the proof of this 700-mile trip is basically a montage of a road trip. Really? You think you've got this battery that is going to completely revolutionize the world, and the best that you can put together is a road trip montage? I was putting stuff like this together 14 years ago. I mean, on top of that, it's now 2022. If it was this epoch-making, why not just live stream the whole thing? And you take a look at their website, and yeah, this is their entire website for this battery that is going to completely revolutionize everything. And I'll try to find all these patents with this, of course, amazingly convincing graphic. And the only sensible patent that I could find was this one, which, so this is relatively recent. It's 2017. This is the closest I could find. So this is the actual guy behind it all. That's the founder of the company. For some reason, the current assignee is Apple Incorporated, and it's 2017, and it's more about stopping thermal runaways in batteries than it is about some amazing new battery technology. So sure, people have spent billions of dollars on this and haven't yet succeeded. I confidently called bullshit on a Nobel Prize winner who made similar claims. Sorry, it's just the technical impracticalities combined with the number of people crying Eureka basically means I will believe it when I see it. And claims of glass battery this, solid state battery this, or quantum battery the other really just don't cut it. Which reminds me, we're meant to be busting that quantum battery.
They suggest that it would be possible to build an almost perfect battery by connecting multiple quantum energy sources to each other. In this case, their individual properties combining together. Thus, if one quantum battery will be charged in an hour, then 2 could take 30 minutes, and several thousand batteries less than a second.
Oh boy, did we enter the matrix today. Sadly, in the real world, that's not how batteries or any energy storage application work. Batteries basically have different electronic states for atoms, and the difference between those 2 states is the energy that the battery can store. This is why your typical electrochemical cell runs on a couple of volts. That's the difference in the electronic states between the 2 atoms. But this is just a regular battery. There is nothing special about it. That's why you can never store these incredible amounts of energy in a battery or any material.
This little thing is able to hold a smartphone's charge almost forever. Once you charge a quantum battery, you'll never need to connect it to a power network again.
Yeah, just to be clear, you can't get energy out of a battery that you didn't put in the first place.
Owners of mobile devices will be able to use them as much as they like and not be afraid that at the most inopportune moment, the battery will run out.
So in this magical world where you can store infinite amounts of power safely in a battery, that does mean that you need to put that almost infinite amount of power in there first. But that's in many ways not your main problem. The main problem is that currently battery energy density is sufficiently high that they're almost bombs. You add almost limitless extra power storage into this thing, and they basically become pocket nukes. Thankfully, they're just talking crap, and this doesn't exist. Oh, well, I mean, technically you can say these are quantum states, but by that definition, your body runs on quantum energy. You know, the difference in energy states of electrons bound to one configuration of nuclei versus another. Normally we just call this chemistry. But sure, if it helps you sell your pseudoscience, call it quantum nanotech. But it's still just a hamburger. It doesn't help that after this they go on to state that scientists are trying to learn from photosynthesis.
This efficiency of plants is inexplicable from the point of view of classical physics. But recent experiments show that photosynthesis uses the well-known quantum effect of particle superposition. Many scientists are trying to apply the principle of photosynthesis to build more effective solar cells.
Actually, no, since its inception, solar cells have had higher efficiency than photosynthesis. Yeah, Riddle is just another one of those channels that substitutes good production values, basically high quality stock video footage, for real scientific accuracy.
You like this video? Give it a quick thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you don't miss any new releases. There's still a lot more to learn about all these stunning achievements of science and technology.
And they go on to ram the point home like this.
Meanwhile, Chinese inventors have said they are close to creating a perpetuum mobile, or a kind of perpetual motion machine. They promise to soon test their EM drive in space, a quantum engine that doesn't need an external energy source.
Yeah, the EM drive, the one that I busted in 2016. Another video which honestly has stood the test of time pretty well.
If successful in the future, this EM drive will be able to reach the edge of the solar system in just a few months.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
This device consists of a magnetron generating microwaves and a resonator, which accumulates the energy of their vibrations. This design allows one to convert radiation into traction.
And it works so well that I'm going to show you it working. Oh no, I can't, because with their latest measurements, they found out it generated no thrust. You know, once they'd excluded the errors that were giving them a false thrust reading. Oh yeah, if only someone could have predicted that 5 years earlier. So instead, I'll just draw some arrows on a picture and tell you this is how it works, just like this is how starships go faster than the speed of light.
So, apparently, the day is fast approaching when we'll finally get an eternal source of energy. Can you imagine for a moment what will happen next? Let's try and do it together. Shipping services will immediately become cheaper, and in a month, a pleasantly slimmed down electricity bill will come.
It's nanotech. You like it?
You'll no longer need to buy expensive energy-saving lamps. You'll not have to turn off the lights when you leave the room. Actually, our dreams of an endless and free source of energy.
Earth has wizards now.
In fact, such savings are only a small part of the limitless possibilities of an eternal source of energy. Possibly the most important thing for humanity is that wars will lose their meaning because most of them are fought over energy resources.
Yeah, and he just goes on and on like this, eventually getting to
agriculture will become profitable almost anywhere on the planet. Even Antarctica could be built up with greenhouses because maintaining the right temperature inside them will be cheap.
And yeah, because it's a pet bugbear of mine, if you're going to live your entire life on a spinning ball and you're going to put that spinning ball in a video, at least make sure it's spinning in the right direction. And then for the pure crescendo of stupidity built entirely because he didn't understand the difference between batteries storing energy and generating energy, I give you this.
Finally, with unlimited resources, scientists will be able to create spacecraft for interstellar flights. Then we'll finally get the opportunity to colonize other planets, unloading the overpopulated Earth. In a word, an endless source of energy will bring an era of abundance, an unprecedented flowering of scientific and technological progress.
Dude, you don't know the difference between a battery and a generator. I would hold off on the poetic language about an unprecedented flowering of scientific understanding if I were you. But hey, that's kind of why I'm here, to throw a bucket of damn you had it coming on the popular disinformation merchants and a bucket of reality on the recurrent headline of the miracle new battery that's going to change everything and it's just been discovered. Because this channel doesn't deal with the sweet beguiling lies of beautiful fantasy.
Your profit on a mere $6,000 investment would be upwards of $60,000.
It debunks that crap with the simple sanity of cold, hard reality. And if you want to support that, well, why not drop a thumbs up on the video or subscribe? Or if you really want to support the channel, you can do it directly through Patreon. And thanks for watching.